Good afternoon. I'm Bruce Harkey, President and CEO of Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens in Columbus, Ohio. We are so glad that you are joining us for the final session of the American Public Gardens Association 2020 virtual conference. How to waive admission, deliver mission, and keep the lights on. Making friends and making money has always been critical for public gardens. My development VP refers to this as the double bottom line. How do we strengthen our community impact while also growing our earned revenue for financial sustainability? As we all know, we are living in a critical moment in human history. The global pandemic brought on by COVID-19 has forced many public gardens to close for 3 months or more, creating significant financial hardship. The global protests and demonstrations after the death of George Floyd have challenged all of us to address systemic racism and inequality. The subject of today's presentation has never been more important. Along with 3 of my peers from Tower Hill Botanic Garden, Denver Botanic Garden, and Atlanta Botanical Garden, we'll share what we've done to make friends and make money. We look forward to an engaging conversation with you, and we know that public gardens are well positioned to help heal our communities and bring all of us together. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Pedersen, and I'm the Director of Education at Tower Hill Botanic Garden. Tower Hill Botanic Garden is just over 30 years old, but our parent organization, Worcester County Horticultural Society, was founded in 1842 and is one of the oldest horticultural societies in the country. Tower Hill is located in Boylston, Massachusetts, just east of Worcester. Our garden consists of 171 acres of formal gardens, tropical plant conservatories, vegetable gardens, an heirloom apple orchard, woodland plant collections, meadows, ponds, and conservation land. Our mission is to create experiences with plants that inspire people and improve the world. Our vision is a world where people and plants thrive. Our visitation has grown to nearly 170,000 people annually, an 80% increase from just 5 years ago. About 5 years ago, we began working in earnest to diversify our audiences and to be a more inclusive organization and garden. Increasingly, across the botanical garden world, institutions are trying hard to be more than simply just beautiful places for plant lovers. Tower Hill, like many, wants to be more inclusive, and we want to share the value and importance of plants with more people. We have chosen 7 dimensions of diversity to focus our inclusion work on. Those dimensions of diversity include race, ethnicity, age, mental and physical ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, and socioeconomic status. Removing the barrier of admission to the garden is one way that we include people no matter their socioeconomic status. It's important to note that we usually have at least 20 ways that people can access our garden at reduced or free admission prices. Here are just a few examples. We have an EBT card holder program, which includes those receiving benefits from the Department of Transitional Assistance. You can enter for $2. If you're a member of the Mass Teachers Association, you can receive free admission. Personal care attendants accompanying people with disabilities receive free admission. And big brothers and big sisters receive free admission with the purchase of an adult ticket. However, knowing about these programs and accessing them can also present a barrier. Free admission days are just another way that we remove the barrier for admission. Historically, we've participated in Free Fun Fridays. This is a program that is run by the Highland Street Foundation. Free Fun Fridays offers visitors no-cost admission to participate in cultural venues throughout Massachusetts during the summer months from June to August. Multiple organizations open their doors for free, and we participated in this program for about 4 years from 2014 to 2017. And there were really a lot of great things about the programs, but there were also a lot of downsides. So on the pro side, the Highland Street put a great deal of money into marketing the event. Our name was advertised in ways that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to fund. The foundation also gave us a small grant to support the event. And most importantly, we saw a significant increase in visitors from low-income zip codes. We will get into both the zip codes and the financial analysis in a moment. On the con side, the event was only 1 day of the week, so people who could only take off time could enjoy it. The financial support given was not enough to cover the event costs. And the event turnout was so good that we had parking issues, we had to rent a shuttle, We needed porta potties, and in general, the property was very crowded. The crowding compromised the visitor experience and limited our programming mostly to crafts for youth, which didn't meet our educational goals. It was an all-hands-on-deck event, meaning that every staff member had to work, and traffic was backed up over a mile through the center of town, which made the folks from the town unhappy and also the police. In general, it was a very incredibly stressful event for staff. So in 2018, we decided to make a change. We still wanted to capture all the good things about Free Fun Friday, but without all of the downsides. So we dreamed up Free After 3 Thursdays. Instead of one big free day a year, we opened our doors for free every Thursday evening in June, July, and August from 3 to 9 p.m. Some of the highlights of the event included giant lawn games, activities for youth and programming for adults, sunset watching, a beer garden, local food from our cafe, and the entire garden was open to explore. So honestly, there aren't any cons that I can think of for this event. On the pro side, it required very little marketing to go viral. We mostly promoted the event on social media. We saw a significant increase in visitors from low-income zip codes again. The garden was busy, but not over capacity. We were able to offer more meaningful, mission-focused programming. We were able to run the event with less staff, and it became a signature Tower Hill event that everyone looks forward to. In fact, all of the departments wanted to move their events onto Free After 3 nights because the atmosphere was so festive, and let's not lie, because there was a really fantastic beer garden as well. The event also aligned with our trustee meeting schedule, which allowed trustees to socialize with visitors, each other, and with staff after meetings. There were 13 days available for people to attend, unlike the one day on Free Fun Friday. And because it ran till 9, people could come after work and enjoy it. And finally, the event was actually net positive, even though we were open for free. So one of the things we did really well during Free After 3 Thursdays was to layer on programming. For example, we held an LGBTQ+ Pride event. The Massachusetts Master Gardeners set up a Q&A table every evening. We held an art exhibition opening, and we also held our volunteer appreciation evening on the same night. For youth, every evening we had themed drop-in activity tables that we call exploration stations. We held a 30-minute drop-in story time. We offered discovery backpacks that aid families in outdoor exploration. And we held our Learn and Grow, which is a drop-in playtime in our youth vegetable garden. We also hosted the Worcester Family Partnership twice for their family literacy night. So how do we pay for it all? Well, before I answer that, I want to tell you about one last event. In 2017, we also kept our doors open for 17 evenings, June through September, so one extra month, and we charged admission. So if you compare all 3 events, we actually made more money opening our doors for free for 13 evenings than we did when we charged for 17 evenings just 2 years prior. You can see that the bulk of our earned revenue during Free After 3 came from the shop, membership, and our commission on food and drink sales from the beer garden. And an opportunity still remains to seek corporate support for the event, which we are hoping to do. So how did we measure our success? The number of visitors during Free After 3 was the greatest of all 3 events by a significant margin. And the percentage of visitors from low-income zip codes during a regular calendar year is about 3%, but climbs to 20% during Free After 3 Thursdays. Free Fun Friday is just 3% higher, but comparable to Free After 3. So what's next? We understand that Free After 3 is a work in progress, and we have a long way to go. We want to work to increase diversity at our garden every day of the year. Additionally, there still remains barriers to this event, mostly because there's no public transportation to Tower Hill Botanic Garden. We also want to continue to engage the community and community groups so that they know about Free After 3 and all that Tower Hill Botanic Garden has to offer. Thank you so much. I've included my contact information here. Please reach out to me if you have questions or comments, and we'll be happy to answer questions at the end of our session.
Hi, Bruce again from Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens in Columbus, Ohio. The picture you're looking at is of the John F. Wolfe Palm House. It was built in 1895, and it's the signature building at the conservatory. It is 125 years old this year, And what a year to celebrate your birthday. These are all the beautiful tulips. I think we planted about 150,000 of them, and sadly, no one was able to see them. The Palm House also comes to life at night. We have an art installation by James Turrell, and so the Palm House fills with volumes of color that are really beautiful. The conservatory's mission is inspired by horticulture. Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens elevates quality of life and connects the community through educational, cultural, and social experiences. The organization's grown dramatically in the last 25 years under the leadership of three different leaders. In 1993, the budget was $1 million. This year, we'll say 2019, pre-COVID, our budget was $12 million. So we've had a dramatic increase in the budget size, and then the earned revenue also has increased significantly. We've gone from probably just a few percentage points to about 70% in 2019. Financial sustainability is absolutely critical for ensuring that we're able to continue strengthening our community impact and outreach programs for the community. A little bit about our garden. In addition to the Palm House, the conservatory has 20,000 square feet of biomes with plant collections from around the world. We have a historic Wells barn that was built 2015 from a 200-year-old timber frame, and that's used for educational classes and events. We own a signature Dale Chihuly collection. We have a 4-acre community garden campus, a 2-acre children's garden, and then 8 acres of outside gardens where we display seasonal art and horticultural exhibitions. The image you're looking at is of the Scott's Miracle-Gro Foundation Children's Garden that opened in 2018. This project was a result of a lot of really great community conversations. We talked to our community about what they want from the conservatory, and what we heard very strongly is they wanted more exhibitions and experiences for families and children. The children's garden really does bring our vision to life, and our vision is a world that celebrates nature as essential to the human experience. And I don't know about you, but after being at home for 3 months or more, we certainly all recognize the importance of nature, and especially the young kids. We've talked a lot in our industry about fewer young people going into horticulture and the green industry for careers, but we've also talked a lot about the lack of diversity in our industry. And I'm sure, like many of you, I learned to love plants by gardening with my parents and grandparents as a child. And we love the opportunity for the children's garden to bring young people to the conservatory with their families to connect with nature in a way that we did as kids. A little bit about the attendance of the conservatory. So our typical attendance was somewhere around 200,000. With the opening of the children's garden and then also expanding our exhibition programs like Conservatory Aglow and Pumpkin Nights, we significantly increased the attendance. So we're really focused on growing that attendance over time. Membership also increased significantly with the opening of the Children's Garden. We went from around 7,500 members to 12,200 in 2018, and we're fairly stable at that level. I want to talk a little bit about why we waived admission to the conservatory. Before we opened the Children's Garden, we had a lot of really great conversations with the donor community and with our public partners, the city and the county. And they really stressed the importance of making sure that all of the arts and cultural organizations in Columbus provide more access. So on May 19th, when we dedicated the Children's Garden to the public, we announced, along with our public partners, that the conservatory would be open for free on the first Sunday of every month. We also started another program with the Columbus Metropolitan Library. Now, in the spirit of honesty, I stole this idea from Frederick Meyer Gardens in Grand Rapids. David Hooker had this wonderful idea where you can go to the local library and check out a membership card for the Botanical Garden. We're very collaborative in the Botanical Garden world, so I really appreciate that idea. You can go to the library and you can get a library membership card actually for the conservatory for 2 days for 2 adults and 6 children. And then the third program that we started is an access membership program. So a family membership for the conservatory is $135. And for underserved families, they can get a membership card for the conservatory for only $35, which is really a great value. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. In addition to free community days and free admission with a library card and access level memberships, we have a host of different access programs that we continue to grow and expand for the community. And I won't cover those, but you can see all of those listed here. So how do we deliver mission? Community Days, I think, is a really great opportunity with the diversity that we see on those days to really lean into all of our educational programs. We have a great director of education and outreach who's put together wonderful programs that change on a weekly basis that are shared with the community on Community Days in the Learning Pavilion. And one of my favorite stories that Jenny Pope told me is about a young boy named Isaiah. And Isaiah would come to the conservatory with his mother and the new baby brother. And the mother wanted the family to really bond and thought that coming to the conservatory would be a great place to do that. And they would come on a regular basis during the summer, but also on Community Days. And at the beginning of his visits, Isaiah would run to the Learning Pavilion because he was so captivated about everything that we were teaching. And by the end of the summer, what was great is he was on the other side of the table with the teachers teaching other young kids. And I think these are the stories that really bring you hope. And these are the reasons we need opportunities to connect with nature for all of our community. How do we measure our success? We measured our success in 4 ways. Obviously, the number of attendees for Community Days, as well as the participation in the Library Pass program. Diversity is a really important focus for the conservatory to make sure that everyone feels welcome within the gardens. Revenue is obviously a very important factor that we have to consider so that we can be financially sustainable, and then philanthropic support. And in summary, I think what we discovered from almost 2 years of Community Days is that attendance on Community Days was double our usual attendance. Diversity in the garden improved significantly. We were also very surprised to learn that revenue either matched the previous year or was stronger. And the reason for that is a lot of visitors came from outside of Franklin County because we've become one of the major tourist attractions in Columbus, Ohio, and they would pay the regular admission fee. And then I think certainly the increased awareness of all of our access programs with the donor community drove additional fundraising support for the garden. A couple of bar charts just showing Community Days. Typically our attendance is about 1,000 people a day, and you can see in 2018 and 2019 we had significant increases in the attendance on those Community Days. The library card program was also very successful. The library was skeptical about this initially. They tried it several years ago, but of course, technology in the world has changed significantly. The number of attendees to the conservatory using the library card over the last few years is over 2,000 people. And now that program has expanded beyond the conservatory. The Art Museum, the Wexner Center for the Arts at OSU is also participating in the program. So we were very happy that we were able to trial that program out. And then access level memberships, I think this is what to me is so exciting. You can imagine if you are a family that's struggling to put food on the table, or you're working multiple jobs and you're concerned about the education of your children, to make an investment for your family to visit the conservatory to not really understand whether you're going to enjoy the experience is one of the tremendous benefits of Community Days. Because these families are able to come to the conservatory for free and give it a trial run, I think that really has increased the number of access level memberships, which are only $35. It's the fastest growing segment of our memberships. We've gone from 324 access memberships in 2018 to the current level, which is 964. And you can see on this pie chart, we all love pie charts, the green portion of the pie chart is the access membership, and it is now 8% of our total membership base. Well, how do we keep the lights on? I think, one of the ways we keep the lights on, I think, is very similar to other gardens. It's about earned revenue. And so while the garden is free, our cafe is open, the food truck is open, the gift shop is open, you can buy wine, you can buy beer, and that really does create additional opportunities for growing earned revenue to support Community Days. But certainly over the course of a year, it's about a $200,000 investment for the conservatory to be open free to the public. And we have been able to secure additional fundraising from the donor community, because now more than ever, everyone recognizes the importance of making sure that we have access for the entire community in our gardens. One thing I will say, though, is that after analyzing the Community Days data, what we've determined is that about half of the attendees to the conservatory on Community Days can certainly afford to pay the regular admission. And so we are planning in September to shift from Community Days once a month to a program called Museums for All, which is through IMLS. So Franklin Park Conservatory, along with the Art Museum, the Historical Society, the Center for Science and Industry, are going to participate in the Museums for All program. And what that does is it allows families, underserved families, to participate in the conservatory for $3, which is a fantastic deal. And it's based on their schedule as opposed to one Sunday a month. So we are going to roll that out in September, but we will also continue free access for many of our partner organizations like the YMCA or Columbus City Schools through our outreach and education program, so that they can continue to come to the conservatory for free. So I hope you learned something from our presentation. I think it's a great program that does engage the community, but also ensures that we are providing the access for everyone. I'm happy to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Matthew Cole. I'm Director of Education for Denver Botanic Gardens. I'm pleased to tell you some of the story of how we've done free days. I've been involved at the gardens for a number of years, but the site I want to talk about is not our main site, nor Chatfield Farms, but Plains Conservation Center, so east in Aurora. And, you know, it's definitely a natural site, not a manicured site, but it's really got a lot of features that are interesting. There's the opportunity for historical interpretation. There's biological features, including a bald eagle nesting site on the place, a pronghorn running around, a lot of things that people find interesting. And we've got a history, even before we were there, there has been a history of school groups coming out successfully in large numbers and learning about the plains and learning about the landscape that we really live in. But when we got involved, this is what you saw the rest of the days. And great, shortgrass prairie, never been plowed, at least according to the stories we hear. But a rare site, but you really have to understand it and understand what you're going to be doing to be able to sustain that. Because why we waived admission has a lot to do with how we wound up in the plains and at this center, which used to have another place out there. There was a nonprofit out there for decades and decades, but they didn't have the reach to sustain programming. So places like this, which they erected a sod homestead, not a completely historic one, fortunately. There is some modern engineering underneath holding up the roof. But when they ran into financial difficulty, the city of Aurora took over the space, and it gave us a new reason to think about why attendance mattered, because their motivation was different. City of Aurora owns the land. It's part of their open space system. So it's free admission to begin with. But if only the pronghorn are out there, that's not meeting their city goals. They have the open space city for people to be coming through and people to be having a reason, which gets us back to this, which is it's great that we can run a few programs out there that bring people out there, but it's sort of a kind of drop in the bucket for the whole city. So we needed a strategy that brought more people out here. And this brought up a really contradictory question for this talk. How can we make a free space more free? It's not possible. Inquiring minds like to know. They're giving me the eagle eye to say, this doesn't look right. Well, you can make a free space more accessible. You can make what they find there more accessible. You can make what they're seeing and understanding more relevant to them. And that's the strategy we followed. One of the first things we did when we sat down with the city of Aurora, having them take over as our landlords essentially, was let's try some free days. And that we talked about this. Free days are sort of a Denver tradition. There is a scientific and cultural facility district that covers 7 counties, not just one political jurisdiction, that gives a 1/10 of a cent sales tax to lots of cultural organizations. And we're the beneficiaries of that. And so is the city of Aurora. And we said, let's work together to do free days. And the thought being that will bring more people out there. And we got the logical pushback. Why would people come? Oh, it works. They're coming because they say, here's the date we can activate on. Here's the cool stuff that I can't just see if I just go out and treat it like open space. And so why we waived admission really goes down to our landlord's priorities and letting us stay on the site, because anything we can do, they can do. They may not be able to do it as inexpensively or particularly as tied into the rest of our efforts as we can. But the reason for this collaboration is that we are meeting their goals and continuing to meet them. And it does raise a question. Our mission is connecting people with plants. We've got people here, we've got historic interpretation. How is this really, dressing up is fun, but how is it really meeting our mission of connecting to plants? And the answer is it's really in what they're doing out there. If all they're doing is talking about the Homestead Act or the transition of settling the plains between 1830 and 1870, less. If you focus on, this is how people had to live on the plains, this is how the pronghorn lives on the plains, this is how the people succeeded or failed, because there's a lot of failure among the settlers of the time. So if you have that hands-on activities, you need to put a person out there to attract more people out there. And it sounds perhaps a little simple, but people attract more people. And what we've seen is that it has been absolutely crucial in the history of the site to get more people out there by having more people. And you really want to be thoughtful about some of it so that when you're doing historical interpretation, you're being respectful for both people and cultures that still exist in our area. But at the same time, we can do that and we can connect that to sort of our programming. And what you get are more interested people having more interesting reactions and using these pseudo-historic structures. They're not historic structures, they're like-alike structures. But when we came out there, we heard that wagon rides were popular. And we tried it the first summer and it was not true. We got like 2 people the whole summer over months. But we show up, we do a bunch of free ones for a free day. And what happens is there's interest growing over time out there. And so that now we have some self-sustaining wagon tours out there. Which brings us to the next topic, is how we kept the lights on. And really there were 2 things, maybe 3. The third thing is Julie Blue, who has been our manager out there since the beginning and has kept a very eagle eye on these other 2 things. Controlling expenses. The big one for this site, the city of Aurora is paying for the upkeep of all the structures out there. They own the land, they're to own, they want us out there, so that partnership, that makes things a lot more sustainable for us. And then my job becomes being able to make sure programs afford themselves enough. And if we have growing interest and growing demand, then we can start to do that and have enough hours to have more people out there. That is one of the challenge. The hours vary depending on how many programs we have. So something like a free day, that's terrific. That brings more people out there. People get a few more hours. And we think over time, it has been one of the things that is helping lead us towards having people taking the programs regularly. How we measured success in this case was really very simple, embarrassingly so. Our target is to continue out there. Lights on, permission still granted, and audience coming. We lose money on this effort overall, sort of the whole Plains Conservation Center overall, but we lose an acceptable amount compared to the amount of work we're getting out of the space. And the key to that continues to be the city of Aurora. And when we do a really good job and they say, that was a lot of people, we never could have done that, we feel very justified. And when it's a slow winter out there, we have very few hours. And we're just very conscious of keeping that control. So in a nutshell, that's how we've done what we want to. And I'm happy to field questions, but I know I'm at the end of my time.
Hi, I'm Leslie Myers. I'm the Vice President of Institutional Advancement at the Atlanta Botanical Garden. And while we had a free admission program for a number of years, we now think about access in a new way. First, let me tell you a little bit about our garden. We are located in the heart of Midtown Atlanta, and our garden was established in 1976 by a group of volunteers who believed that our city needed a botanical garden. They were successful in securing 30 acres of city land, and today the garden continues as a private leaseholder in that same spot. Additionally, 5 years ago, we were pleased to open a second garden, a second location, an hour and a half northeast of Atlanta. The garden is known as an urban oasis in the surrounding bustle of our city, with something to offer visitors of every age and in every season, with a conservatory and orchid center, the canopy walk, which rises 40 feet into the tree canopy, a children's garden, an edible garden with an outdoor kitchen, and beautiful display gardens. It's a lovely place to visit any time of year. We have robust education and conservation programs, and we continue to find new ways to tell visitors our story. Last year was a banner year, and we welcomed 780,000 visitors to the garden and topped more than 45,000 member households. 18 years ago, the garden decided to sunset a free admission program where guests could enter the garden every Thursday afternoon after 3 p.m. without an additional charge. What we found is that those coming to the garden at that time were those who lived in the surrounding neighborhoods, affluent communities for whom the admission and membership rates were not a barrier. What we found was that simply waiving admission did not result in greater diversity on any scale for our visitor base. Like all of you, we have been very fortunate to have generous donors and foundations who have invested much in our garden. It was through stewardship conversations with one of Atlanta's central foundations that we had the opportunity to dream a bit and conceive a way to open our doors a little wider, to welcome a segment of our community for which the admission price could be an impediment to access. Unlike most major cities across the United States, Atlanta has no public funding for arts and culture. As a result, admission rates to our cultural institutions are higher than our peers in other cities. Not surprisingly, this creates barriers to access the important work and offerings we all do for our communities. We have programs in place that reach families in our community with a lower income bracket. And in contrast, we know that the average household income of our visitors approaches $100,000 annually. Our aim was to create a program to provide access and meaningful engagement to a swath of our community who fall within the lower middle income socioeconomic bracket. So after much thoughtful conversation, we conceptualized and were funded for what would become the Explore Family Membership Program. This program would offer family garden memberships to all current employees of some of the most central organizations to our cities, reaching our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers, our nurses, and so many more. Our partner organizations are Atlanta Public Schools, the City of Atlanta, Grady Health Systems, which is Georgia's only level 1 trauma center and located in downtown Atlanta, and MARTA, which is our public transportation system. Membership would be offered free for the first year and only $20 in years 2 and 3. By reaching a new audience as members, we could engage with them in every way we do our current membership, providing unique opportunities to spend time in the garden, learn about the mission work we do, and develop a relationship with them. Response on day 1 of enrollment was robust, clogging the website throughout the day. At the end of the first enrollment period, an unprecedented 43% of all eligible employees joined. That was more than 10,000 households. Not unexpectedly, enrollment did take a bit of a dip in years 2 and 3 with the $20 charge. However, we still maintained around 5,000 households or more, greater in year 3 than in year 2. Initially, we envisioned that this would be a parallel membership program with Explore-only welcoming weekends and special Explore-only member events, mailings, and so on. However, we quickly learned that what made the most sense is to fully fold this membership group in with our greater membership program. That was the ultimate goal, right? We still reach out at times throughout the year to this group specifically, and we monitor things like visitation and renewals separately, but it's worked really well. Certainly, having this as a grant-funded program made the fiscal feasibility of the Explore membership program much greater. Because we could be thoughtful and thorough as we put the grant budget together, we have been able to streamline expenses along the way also. The programmatic streamlining and staff adjustments that we made throughout the program have allowed us to plan for and to be able to carry the program forward beyond the 3 years originally planned until we can secure additional funding. How we measure success. Through instituting this program, our membership has finally begun to more closely resemble the demographic makeup of our city. Additionally, today, 43% of our visitors to the garden are non-white. We have been so pleased that the zip code analysis of our Explore members shows that we're reaching people in parts of the city who do not often come to the garden. And the median household income for the top 5 zip codes is between $46,000 and $58,000 a year. Exactly the demographic we set out to reach and engage. Interestingly, we had a unique opportunity in February. Sadly, we lost a beloved lifetime trustee, Ann Cox Chambers, whose family started and runs Cox Enterprises. In her memory, Cox Enterprises generously sponsored a week of free admission to the garden. We had an unprecedented 40,000 guests that week, 30,000 of which came in the last 2 days. It was crowded and incredible, and something we are not likely to do again, much to the relief of our neighbors. But when we analyzed that group of visitors, what was interesting is that there was a slight increase to the racial diversity of those who came. Also, there was virtually no difference in the average household income of those who came during Free Week compared to our current visitors. The Explore membership program has proven to be greatly valued by those participating, as well as our partner organizations. And right now, especially as the garden has reopened, it's wonderful to be able to offer a haven to some of those who've carried the bulk of the burden during COVID, including our medical professionals. We've been pleased with the outcome of this program and look forward to continuing to learn and continue the Explore membership program into the future. Thanks so much. We're all here for questions.
Thank you all for such a wonderful session. I know folks are really asking a lot of interesting questions. And I'd like to reiterate one of those questions to start this conversation, just because I think a lot of you have different perspectives. Hearing each of your different experiences with making experiences at gardens more inclusive. You know, some things work for one garden, some things don't work for the others. Is it a free evening? Is it not a free evening? I'm curious if you could speak to how a garden could make a more informed decision about trying something or evaluating which thing they might try, you know, just so that it's not feeling like it's, you know, such a guess as to what might work. We can start with, oh, go ahead, Bruce.
You know, I think one of the lessons that we've learned in recent conversations about diversity, access, inclusion, is to engage the community. So to reach out to partners who typically you work with for outreach and education programs and ask them what would bring them to the garden. So one epiphany we had this afternoon in a similar conversation was, why are you doing a free day on Sunday? Because for our community, we go to church and then we see family. So we're not going to visit the garden on a Sunday. And so I think it's important to reach out to the community you're trying to attract and see what would appeal to them.
What a surprise. Communities are different.
Imagine.
Jessica, did you want to say something too?
I can build on that. And I think one of the big things as presenters we learned is that what's right for one garden is not right for all gardens, right? So we each have a really different solution. So I agree with Bruce, you need to talk to the community. And then for us, it was a lot of trial and error, right? We tried a few things that didn't work and we weren't scared to try something new that might not work, right? It was a risk to open our doors for free. And that risk turned out to be the right thing to do.
Right. I just saw a really interesting question come up about how your gardens might be tracking demographics of visitors and members. I know this is this can be a difficult project to take on. Are any of you doing that?
I know that we are trying to capture zip codes, particularly for free days, but also in other cases, and that gives us a hint of it.
Any other methods? I know that is a pretty typical one.
Yeah, I think for us in Atlanta, it's one of the real benefits of offering the free membership program is when someone enrolls, you have not only their zip code, but you know where they live exactly. It also gives you a lot of really direct contact information so that not only you can communicate with them, but build a relationship. And I think, not only does that help you have an avenue and more concrete information for demographics, it also allows you to track that over time.
Great. So I know that we got a great response around this concept that Matt mentioned about free space being more free. How do you make something more free? Which I think is a wonderful concept. And I'm curious because that was such a specific natural land example. Are there ways that free gateless gardens, because I know we have a lot of gardens that have, already have this situation. Is there a way to apply some of those lessons to a garden that's a more traditional or even an urban space that has a free component?
I think from my perspective, I think there are a lot of similarities between a lot of free and open nature centers and gardens. There are differences that are clear, but I think about gardens and nature centers that have had success, sort of bringing people in with the free, and it very much is trying to meet them with something that appeals to them. In the case I've shown, it's sort of interpretation, and here's a marker and occasion that I recognize, and I know roughly what I'm going to be able to do at that event. I'll stop there.
Okay, I know a lot of folks are interested in some of these same concepts you've talked about post-COVID or during. I guess we don't have a post-COVID. We're in COVID. Thinking about some of these inclusive projects and also just how you're maintaining any kind of earned revenue programming. Do you foresee a path forward for modified versions of some of these inclusive community events?
I think here in Atlanta, it just certainly underscores the importance of taking care of those who are most integral to our city. And we've been fortunate and grateful that at this moment, here we are at a point in time where we can serve as a haven, like all of our gardens do in different ways to those in our city. I think it also underscores the importance of this program for us. We have already been committed to looking at how we continue it into the future, and it's just another tick mark to the positive for that as we look for how we navigate the pandemic.
In a very practical way, we have had to navigate free days by saying, nope, we can't do them. And as reluctant as I was to say that, to see that, I sort of absolutely understood where the concerns about people bunching up, about having to turn a lot of people away, about all the negatives that could have come with operating at reduced capacity, required time ticketing, and all the things that are 180° opposite of the normal free day experience. So we are trying some other things that are more invitation based and more reaching out to communities we want to serve, haven't served, have served, but want to continue to make the opportunity to come here. And so that's looking more like an invitation event. But if you're really sincere about meeting new people, I think one of the things that we're trying to plan is at least some of these occasions, we will invite in people where we're not in control of the invite list. Somebody else is extending the invitation on our behalf. And that takes a certain amount of trust when everybody's going to be watching. Does everybody have their mask? Does everybody have their preparations made. But as we're getting that underway now, I have a lot of hopes that it will do some of the same things that free days have done for us over time.
We had our first free day last Sunday after reopening after 3 months. And of course, it's time tickets and all the safety protocols and social distancing and masks and limited capacity. And both July and August were completely sold out after we announced them. So people went online. Unfortunately, we had about 65% no-shows. So I think that's one of the downsides of free, is that there is no skin in the game. And so a lot of people decided not to show up because it was very hot. Unfortunately, we had already turned away a lot of families. So around noon, we let people who were from Franklin County or City of Columbus come in and enjoy the garden. And I think people really appreciated having access to the garden and being out in nature in a safe space. So that's critical. We have decided to increase capacity to account for the no-shows, but instead of letting anyone sign up for it, we're going to partner with Columbus City school families, because that's specifically the group we want to attract. Only 5% of the school groups who come to the conservatory are from Columbus City schools. So we have a lot of work to do in that area.
I'm curious about access and the public transportation conversation in light of COVID as well. I know that this has been mentioned quite a bit, that you all have really paid attention to how people are getting to your garden. Is there a concern? I think, I've read a lot about people being afraid to use public transportation right now. Are there ways around that,
I think it's a fair question. What ways are there around it? But I can tell you that the experience we have at different sites is absolutely clear that Denver Botanic Gardens York Street is on a bus line. Chatfield Farms is a ways away from a bus line, and Plains Conservation Center is near public trails. And in all cases, having the sort of the most popular site be near the route probably helps it some on those days, but people who are determined enough are finding their way there for the.
Oh, I think Matt has frozen. Did anyone else want to speak to the transportation challenge conversation? We've got about a minute, I think.
Leslie, that was one of the questions that one of our attendees had for you, was the status of public transportation to your garden in Atlanta.
It's interesting because even though one of our 4 partners is our public transportation organization, Atlanta is a city that travels by car by and large. And though we do have a bus stop close to the garden and a train station that is walkable if you choose to, that's not how people by and large are getting to our garden. I will add though that we're very close to the Beltline. So as people walk through the city, that has been a way to navigate through and reach our garden.
That's about all the time we have. Thank you all so much. This was such a good session. Really, really stimulating conversation. And hopefully folks will continue it on the discussion platform and keep this conversation going with you all.
Thank you.
Well, all right, everyone. We really want to thank you for this wonderful session that you've attended. And just a couple of quick reminders. So reminder number 1, our conference website is your gateway at 2020.publicgarden.org. You can catch the rapid fire presentations there. You can catch the poster sessions on our Facebook page, and please take time to see those. And then just a special shout out, our fundraising wall. We are so close, ladies and gentlemen. We're within $490 of our goal. That means if there are 49 of you out there that each want to give $10, that we can make our goal. And somebody will chat in the link to make a brief donation. And if you donate more than $25 or more than 20, you get a free premium subscription to PlantSnap. And now what I'd like you to do is also just know a few things. Access to the recordings and accompanying resources will be available to registered conference attendees only on the conference platform until September 23rd. And then after that, they'll be shared with all of our membership through the Library and Media Resource Center. And we'll have a survey out next week for the virtual conference, and we're really looking for your thoughts on it. Especially going to be looking for your thoughts on the types of content and things that you'd like to see in terms of professional development that the association can offer you in the next several months. But for now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to unshare my screen, and we have a special message that we'd like to give you from our amazing and talented team here at the American Public Gardens Association, our staff team, who have given so much to bring this conference to you. So take it away.
Hello, my name is Alexis Bacon, and I'm the Program and Member Services Assistant. Hope to see you all at next year's conference.
Hello, everyone. Richard Duran, Marketing and Communications Manager. Thank you for being a part of this with us. We really couldn't have done it without you.
Hi, Joan Thomas here. I'm so sorry I missed you this year, and I look forward to seeing you next year.
Hello everyone, my name is Marisol Mata. I'm a program manager for the association. I manage the Plant Heroes Youth Education Program. I'm very sad to have missed you all at conference this year.
Hi everyone, this is Kate Tarowski. I'm the Director of Operations. I'm so sad I'm not seeing all of your faces at the registration desk this year.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for Recrafting Gardens in a Changed World.
I'll miss seeing all of you this summer, but I hope you find a way to get outside and get intimate with some plants.
And that you're staying a safe distance from other humans.
Hi, I'm Jamie Riccio, Member Development Manager. Thanks for coming this year, and I look forward to seeing you in 2021.
Hi everyone, my name's Grayson, and I'm a summer intern from Smith College. Thank you all so much for joining us for this year's virtual conference. It was really incredible to see everyone come together and make it happen, and we can't wait to see you next year.
Hey everyone, this is Tommy Rosenbluth, Program Coordinator. Thank you so much for joining our virtual conference, and we look forward to supporting your professional development in 2020 and 2021.
Howdy y'all, Outreach Manager Lauren Garcia Chance. Hindsight 2020 turned out okay. Can't wait to see y'all at the conference next year.
Hi everyone, my name is Jamila. I'm a student at Smith College, and I'm lucky enough to be interning with the association this summer. Thanks so much for attending the conference and making this an amazing part of my internship experience.
Hey everybody, I'm Tyler Hale, Program Manager at the association. Looking forward to seeing everybody real soon at a Sentinel Plant Network workshop. Plant pests do not follow stay-at-home orders.
Hello everyone, this is Ken Adden, the Systems Integration Manager for the association, and I hope to see you at next year's conference.
So, in wrapping up for all of our staff members, I just want to again emphasize what an amazing group of people these folks all are. From the bottom of my heart, I can't tell you how much each and every one of them contributed to this effort to make this conference as much of a success as it's been. And we also want to thank all of you. We realize that the virtual experience is not quite like the live experience, and we can't wait until we're with you again where we can actually see you and be in your presence. And we look forward to that day and time. Until then, this is me coming to you live. I think I'm live. Maybe I'm not live. Look, hey. Wow, is this thing on? So in all seriousness, thank you to everyone. It always takes a village to bring off conference. Thank you to all the committees that have put in time, effort, and energy, our awards committee, our program selection committee, our host committees, and so many others. Thank you to our extremely talented board who give us the governance and wisdom to do what we do. And thank you to our staff. And as a last thought, our association really seeks to protect, connect, and champion you. And while we've emphasized a lot of the protecting and connecting parts of it, I do want to point out that the gateway to this entire experience is at our association website. We have COVID-19 resources for you. Your ability to learn and utilize the communities and connect through the 21 different professional communities is there, and to access different association resources. It all starts at our website. It all starts just by logging in and going to your own customized dashboard. Until we get to see you again, I cannot thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you all do as members to support our organization. Have a great rest of your day and have a great summer. And we really hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much.